Hey everybody, I'm back on my first live for a while, so thank you very much for joining me. I am here in my new place, really getting used to it now and enjoying the, hello Monique, enjoying just being in a new space, new energy, so it's really, really nice to be here. And I am being joined by Melissa, who will be jumping in any moment. Thank you so much. Everybody that's joining me, you can tell that I'm in a different place, a lot bigger. It's got this echo to it, so giving you a bit of acoustics tonight. Thank you so much, everybody that's jumped in already. Won't keep you long, just waiting for Melissa to jump in. How is everybody? Here she is already. How is everybody? How's everybody doing? Let me know in the comments. Let me know how you are, how you've been. It's really good to see you all. Thank you so much for already. Yes, I'm still in London, just down the road actually. So looking forward to seeing you, what you do. Hey Jodie, how are you? I hope that you will be inspired by myself and my wonderful new friend, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good, Will. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I was just saying I'm in my new place and I'm not showing you over there because there's loads of cardboard boxes from where I'm still unpacking. I think I've personally kept Amazon afloat. I'm just buying anything and everything I can get my hands on. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is my first live for quite some time, and my first live in my new place. So,
oh well, I'm honoured to be part of it.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody that's joined us so far. I will hopefully get round to answering your questions, so please send them our way. So I'll just do our usual introductions. My name is Will. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, behavioural coach, and NLP master practitioner using CBT techniques as well, and I'm a mental health first aider, and I run a series of classes and see clients on a one-to-one basis. And that's how, or the classes is how I met you, isn't it, Melissa? So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get chatting.
Thank you. Yes, I met Will in a meditation class, I think it was, which was like really awesome on a Sunday morning, just to get me into that positive mindset. I am an intuitive coach, which people are like, what on earth is that? I work with your higher self. I work with your energy to help you understand where you are, where you're going, and where you need and want to be. So I use all sorts of awesome tools like cards and crystals and Reiki and energy and oh, I lost it. My phone fainted.
I love how it comes over as you're talking about energy. It's all that energy coming from you, right?
I try and manipulate it there. I work with NLP techniques as well, and I run meditation classes and all sorts of stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess what we do is quite aligned, but we just come at it from a different angle.
Yeah, absolutely. And crystals and cards are very much a belief of mine as well. I've kind of dabbled with the cards on a course I was doing once, but never really explored it anymore. And that's why I think we connected, because we're both very similar in that respect. You know, when you just meet people, even through a screen now, you do connect, don't you? And you must get that a lot, right?
Yeah. You know what I think? That the world's got smaller, right? And it used to be that we were very much just in our space and just in our area. But then something happens, and I think as you step up and do what it is that you're supposed to be doing, or you hear that call, then the person on the other end, it's like this massive spider's web. The person on the other end of that web almost hears that ping, and then you just come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as you say, we first met in one of the classes I was doing for Energy Fitness was all about positive energy. And so, you know, that's, I think we connected on that level as well. So let's talk a little bit more about what you do, because obviously it interests me personally. And I know that it'll interest my followers, because I know a lot of them are interested or into this stuff as well. I call it stuff because there's so much, so many different elements involved, isn't there?
Yeah, and I do a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
So if I start where it started, because it all kind of started with Reiki. I did my Reiki 1 in 2008 and have been practicing pretty much every day since then. And it kind of all started to snowball and get bigger when I took my Reiki, or just before I took my Reiki teacher course about 4 years ago, when I started to step up and teach in that aspect. Whilst that was all going on, I sat in circles, so I was training as a medium and as a psychic, which isn't what I do now. And we can talk about that a bit later if you like.
I love that, so yes.
Okay. Where I started to go was more about working with like your higher self. So often you think about a psychic, right? And it's like, what, you know, oh, I'm going to read my cards and you're going to meet the tall, dark, handsome stranger and you're going to... I did, look at that. You know, there's all that, you know, predicting the future. And for me, what I started to realize is that we have this like higher self, or we have this spirit team that we can work with that isn't you're going here. They're working with us so that we can go, okay, well, this is where I am. These are my past challenges. These are the things that I'm going through. And how can I work with that to move forward, to tell that new story, to be where it is that I can be or want to be or need to be, right? So it's not about, oh, you're going there. It's about, okay, how are we going to get to where you are aligned to be becoming? And I was working with like the angels and the guides and the higher self and like your ascension team, I suppose, to help you get there. And I kind of put the mediumship side aside. Like it was fun and it blew my mind, the stuff that used to come through, but it wasn't my niche, it wasn't my forte. I wanted to work with that more empowering energy rather than going backwards. You know what it's like with the NLP, it's about, you know, moving things forward and shifting things. That was more my style. Having said that, I then got into the Akashic Records through a fairly long story, which we don't need to go through now, but the Akashic Records are like your soul's library or soul's life, which in some irony is often about your past lives and the places that you've been to before. I think you do that in your hypnosis, do you?
Yeah, if the client or patient believes they've had a past life, I can regress. I do current life regression, so go back in the current life, and I do past life regression, no matter how many lives they believe they've had. So yeah, it all depends whether the client has that as a belief. Okay.
So I suppose that's where the Akashic Records are different to a regression, is that, so what the Akashic Records are said to be are this library of information that holds all of your soul's experiences, so past lives and between lives, your current life, everything that's ever happened. And you don't really need a belief for it, although to be fair, you probably wouldn't come to me if you didn't have that belief, right? And you can't just jump into somebody's records because you feel like you fancy it. Like there's got to be that agreement and that exchange. But you don't necessarily need a belief. You don't need to think, oh, well, I used to be whoever in a past life, or I used to experience that. What we're doing is we're going in and exploring what happened then, or who you were, or how you reacted or responded to certain situations that's having an impact on you now, because it all sits there in your energy. And it's like if you've got a trauma or an experience that led you to believe a certain thing, then it's going to sit there and it's going to guide you to where you are now.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I work with them as well.
Yeah, I just find it fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And, you know, very much spiritualist myself and in my beliefs. And that's why I know we connected. But, yeah, I just find it all so fascinating. So I'm going to take you back to the start. How did you get into this? Where did you discover your passion for this and your abilities? And, you know, where did it all start for you?
Well, it all really started when I took my Reiki, which was, I had Reiki. I had a lady used to come and give me like massage to help me manage stress. I was in a very like high pressure job. very male dominated, like sales position. And I used to see this lady for stress management with massage, and she used to give me Reiki, and I was like, oh, what is this? This feels amazing.
Yeah.
And then she decided to move to Australia. How dare she? She might even be watching this. We're still connected. And she said to me, why don't you learn Reiki? You're spiritual, aren't you? And I was like, no, how could you call me spiritual? Like, where did that come from? You know, it wasn't a vision I had on myself. But then like a whole load of synchronistic events happened, which led me to find my Reiki teacher, which opened my whole world, because I took my Reiki, not really expecting much to happen. But within, you know, straight away, I could feel that energy coming from my hands. Like it was tangible. I could feel it flowing through. And I remember one day sitting in the garden thinking, if I can feel energy coming through my hands just for some lady doing like some weird stuff on my head, what else am I closing off to? Mm-hmm. Right now, a bit of a backstory. My grandma was a hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner, and I did thought field therapy, which is like EFT, the tapping thing. So I was kind of brought up with all that stuff, and she used to take me on little journeys over the rainbow and all that stuff as a kid. So I had that thing, and I knew that there was more to life than just what we're consciously moving through. So I had that, but now I had this new experience, which was mine, which was very tangible. And I then started to read all this stuff. I read The Secret, which I know is you're a fan of. And then that opened a whole load of other questions. And then I started reading like the channel text, and I was like, oh my God, like really, we create our own reality. And I'd learned NLP by this point, and I was like, well, hold on a minute, is NLP us creating our reality, or is us creating our reality NLP? And it was all kind of starting to merge together.
Yep. Let me just interrupt you for a moment. I'm fascinated by what you're saying. Why I'm interrupting you is some of the people that are watching now are my clients. Mm-hmm. Okay. This stuff that Melissa is talking about is relevant. Okay. We're creating our own realities through our own energy, through our own power. So, sorry to interrupt you. I just want them to recognize this is relevant. Okay,
well, we can talk about creating our own reality with NLP, with law of attraction, with all of that stuff if you want, because that is a not really lovely, juicy topic, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So I discovered that through The Secret, which then led me on to other teachings like the Abraham Hicks stuff, which I highly, highly recommend. And then I started to sit in circle and was learning all that stuff that I was talking about before. And then I had an experience in the Akashic Records, which opened up a whole nother level. When I had my experience in the records through another teacher that I'd connected to, that was when things changed, because I cleared a whole load of stuff that was holding me back. All these beliefs that I, would be persecuted if I came out and started to talk about my beliefs. If I opened up my intuition, that I might get carted off into like crazy camp. That I can't be visible, that nobody wants to hear my voice, that the imposter syndrome, all that stuff started to get cleared. I'm not going to say it all got cleared in one go, but there was a massive shift. There was a massive energy shift. Yeah. And then literally within weeks from that, I started to teach intuitive abilities, how to read cards, working with the angels. I ran my own psychic development group, and started to offer readings and healings and all coaching and all that stuff from there. So that's a nutshell. I could talk about it forever, but that's a nutshell.
I mean, that was a very short clip note version of your journey, I'm sure. But I just love how, it's a similar journey for a lot of us, isn't it? You experience it from the other side, and as a I want to say customer, I guess you were, but as the receiver, and then you just connect with it, don't you? And think, do you know what? This is something I should be doing. So, again, it absolutely fascinates me, and very, very much believe in intuition, very much, and to be fair, to make it very brief, from the experiences I've had, it would be impossible for me not to believe in intuition. I'm sure it's the same for you. And then, you know, I did go on I was part of a circle for a while as well, quite some time ago now, probably 9 years ago. We went and stayed in a old converted church in Glastonbury, and I got some crystals, and we did a circle, and we were doing cards, and the whole weekend we were just experimenting and did lots of different things. And I found it fascinating. And for those people that are watching, the experiences I had allowed my mind to open up of what I can do as well as others. And as I've said already, it is impossible for me to say that's not real based on the experiences I had. So that's it, right? So it's about experiencing it. So if I'm you know, looking for someone to help me, and you know, I'm going to approach you, what would I expect from you? What services, if you like, could I get from you?
Okay, so my whole like ethos is about empowering you to find your truth and live your truth. That's where I am.
We are the same with that.
Yeah, and that's why we've connected, I think, right? And I guess there's three different ways I would work with you in that on a one-to-one level. One, through the Akashic Records. So that is about us we go into your records together. It's not like a regression. We're doing it like a card reading, like a coaching session. And we are discovering who you were and what happened to you in a past life to help you understand where you are now. And then we can bring some sort of healing to that aspect, or an empowerment, or a releasing, or something to change the energy around that. So you can liken that, I suppose, to like a CBT, or even like in some NLP techniques where we go, okay, well, this is what happened. Let's change how we look at that. Let's change how we experience that, or how we're remembering that, so that the energy isn't heavy anymore. And then we can use that to help move forward. So that's one way. That's probably my most popular, that's probably my niche, right? That's when most people connect with me for that. I then have, which is maybe almost as popular, is my guidance session. So that is about understanding who you are, what your guidance team want to tell you. So this is our intuition, which we all have. And so often I'm doing a card reading with somebody and they'll go, I knew that, or yeah, that was something that I thought, or I was about to do that, or I had that thought. And that's like, well, that's your intuition talking. What I'm doing is I'm helping you verify that that's the case. So it's really about getting clear about what messages are coming up for you, what's rising up in you, you know, like where it is that you want to make those changes or start to act upon. And then we look at, okay, well, how are we going to use that information with the law of attraction, with manifestation, with the law of one, with, you know, all these universal laws that are going on to help you get to where you want to be.
Yes.
So again,
the client that is watching now, who had a session with me today, this is what I was talking about earlier. And also there is, I know, I'm sure you're going to get onto this, so I apologize if I'm jumping ahead here, but we can logic ourselves out of this intuition, can't we? Mm-hmm. We can think, you can get I kind of knew that was going to happen, or I knew I should have done that. And then we kind of think, oh no, that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to follow it. So we can, you know, we've got to learn to trust, haven't we? Yeah.
You know, I think we all have an intuition. I think that, you know, is this a gift? Are we all psychic? I think some of us are more open to it or more aware of it. And maybe some of us have just had, you know, we're more aligned to that. You know, we all, like, some of us are mathematicians, some of us are, you know, creative, some of us, we have different skills, but I maybe not be good at playing the guitar, but if I took guitar lessons for a year, I'd be able to get out of tune, right? So like we all have this potential in us. But what I think happens is that we're living in a society not so much now, but certainly us growing up, where it was about logic, go with the head, but not with the heart. Like people would say that, it needs to make sense. And we kind of get this intuitive muscle gets like drummed out of us, or gets closed down, or we think it's silly. And actually, this goes back generations, and without the risk of getting too kind of woo, because I'd like to be quite grounded with all of this, is that even like 100 years ago, we were being persecuted for gathering women, exactly, and so it's really real, and our parents or our parents' parents, or through quite recent ancestry, there was a real fear around it. So if then the child started to develop sight, then they'd shut it down, not because it was bad, but to protect them, and then that's kind of got translated as a don't do it, it's not safe.
Yes. Yeah, I often say to people, clients especially, all behaviours are learnt. So obviously, if you've got someone in your family, and I'm interested to know if you have as well, a mother or a grandmother or father, grandfather that have this ability and they teach you, then it's taught. But as you say, the kind of the ability is within all of us. But for the most part, as you're saying, we've been taught logic, we've been taught think with your head. If stuff doesn't make sense, then it can't be real. And that's what we've been taught. But actually, the more, as we both know, the more you can put your trust and your faith in that stuff, I'm sticking with stuff, by the way, then then the more you can make it work, can't you? So I totally agree with you. It is only a very recent thing that kind of now spans across many different cultures, whereas before there were niche cultures that would believe in it, whereas typically, I can say this, typically the white people didn't believe it, whereas the other cultures that might, American Indians and African cultures, etc., they would believe in this kind of magic, which is what I call it sometimes, magic, whereas we weren't always. But, and as you say, persecutions of witches, very recent thing. If anyone pointed the finger and said you're a witch, you were done for, right?
And that could have been for practicing anything. So so we hold that. So, I think a lot of us have our intuition, and we are, we kind of get interested in it, don't we? And we'll watch. Also, we've all watched the paranormal stuff, right? Like The Exorcist, which is definitely going to put you off doing anything like that, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on. But what I'm seeing is more and more people who you'd kind of consider like normal or grounded. I mean, like, come on, I used to sell cars, right? This is a far cry from where I was. It's nothing else. I've come like a normal person, right? Is that we start to feel this call. We start to get these experiences, these signs, these synchronicities, these gut feelings or whatever that but start to become undeniable. And yes, we can always explain them out, right? We can always go, okay, well, that could have been this, or maybe it's a coincidence. But what I learned is that there's no such thing as coincidence. And that's what I totally believe now. Because really all you need to do is ask and be open, and then you will see how things come. Now, you could look at this in an NLP way and go, oh, okay, well, if I've got my attention on something, then I'm going to read into it. Like our unconscious mind is brilliant at doing that, right? At making patterns and doing things. So I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that that's not true. Yep. But the other side of it is why do we see patterns and processes from our unconscious mind? And what I'm learning is because there's a like a matrix behind there, or there's like a play or a dance around there. And if you're open to it, then you can witness it, and then you can start to work in it. Yeah. And that's what I
love it. Yeah. I could just sit and listen to this all night. I love it. I'm
I
really
could
glad
talk
we
about it all
connected
night, Will.
because, you know, I love talking about this because for me, it just feels really empowering. And for me, it feels like stuff makes sense from my point of view. And also, so many clients say to me, this is a really weird one actually. Well, not weird because there's so many people do it. I don't know what my purpose in life is. I don't know what my purpose in life is. And so I put a post up a while ago and said, imagine if the meaning of life was to influence other people's lives in a positive way. Other people's, not your own.
Yeah.
And how much nicer the world would be. And, you know, I've come to believe that actually the purpose of your life is whatever you determine it to be, and no one's going to give that to you. You decide what it is. And so, you know, when we are interested in this stuff, with the higher level stuff, with the unconscious mind, with the stuff that doesn't always make sense, with the
Yeah.
stuff that isn't always logical, it allows us to open up a different part of our mind. And you mentioned earlier about, you know, telepathy and things. I believe exactly everything you said. I'm like, yeah, agree. And it's more about allowing ourselves to do it. So without kind of putting off people getting in contact with you, because I definitely, if anybody's watching either now or later and they're interested in this stuff and they want to explore it more, just follow Melissa and send her a message because it's amazing. So just briefly then, what would you encourage those of us to do that are kind of interested but just don't know where to start?
Oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it is so simple, and I know everyone hates this answer. I'm going to give you the answer because it is the answer, is to start some sort of meditation practice, right? So why is this? We go about our day and we are busy all the time, right? Our phone is always going on. We're always in this response mode. Yeah, and we're in fight or flight like all day.
Yeah.
To start a meditation practice, what I think you will find will happen is you'll sit and you'll be like, okay, what's going on? Then your mind will just go chatter, 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 chatter. And that's normal. You're not going to turn your mind off. I'm still trying to turn my mind off. It now doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Then what you'll find is that there's how am I going to say this? There's like, you realize that you're not your thoughts. You realize that you're not your emotions. You start to come into this awareness that there's more to you than just the narrative that's going on in your mind.
Yeah.
For me, that's step one. And if you can, and I'm not even going to say master it, but just bring it in 5 minutes a day, if you can, right? Of just breathing and just coming into that will, yeah, someone here turning therapy into art just said like meditation's a game changer. And I've been to one of your meditations and they're awesome because you're in hypnotherapy, right? You're going into a deeper level of state and that brings you down there. But if on top of that you can do 5 minutes on your own and just let that chatter leave, you come into this awareness of you're more than what you've been led to believe.
Yeah, we're certainly more than our physical body, and we're
Yeah.
certainly more than our conscious mind, aren't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe we hold a lot of power,
Yeah.
lot of power.
Yeah.
And so, governments and leaders of the world, they always force logical stuff on us. Sometimes it's illogical, but they're forcing stuff on us. And of course, listen, I'm not trying to build up a rebellion here. I would encourage anybody that's watching to just listen to what you just said, because I'm like, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. Really, really hitting home with me. And in my meditation classes, you do go deeper into that, but do it on your own and do it in whatever way you feel comfortable with. So amazing, absolutely amazing. So what I always ask everybody this, and I know we're in March already, but I'm going to do it anyway. What one thing did you or will you leave behind in 2020? And what one thing do you want to take into this year and progress and grow with? So what's the one thing that you did or will leave behind in 2020?
For me, 2020 was about shifting the way that I worked and connected with people. I
Yeah.
realized that, like, I've never been one to plan, really. You know, I just kind of go, I tune in and go with the intuition. 2020 made me realize how important flexibility is.
Hmm.
That has allowed me to connect with other people. And I've been connecting with people like, you know, if you'd have said to me 2 years ago where I'd be now, I've got clients in Australia and the Philippines and America and Canada. And I just think, wow, I'm connecting with those people. I said about the spider web earlier. By me showing up, this is what last year showed me. By me showing up and going, oh my God, I'm absolutely terrified to do this. Like, this is so out my comfort zone. I'm just going to do it anyway because somebody needs me, right? By stepping up, how many people did I help?
Yeah.
And that's what I brought in for 2020. For 2021, for me, it's about, so I mentioned about being in the flow. What I found happens is that I was so in the flow, I've kind of come a bit overflowed. So now it's about bringing those riverbanks in and starting to, create that safe container so that I can show up in a way that's more consistent. I've very much been about, let's have one session, let's see where one session can get you. I don't want to be one that's, you've got to have 20 sessions with me. But what I've learned is those people that have worked with me for a continuous amount of time or a chunk of time, or done a mentorship with me, their growth has been like way more. So I'm bringing more of that in for 2021, I think.
That's amazing. Well, as Monique says, brilliant answer. Totally agree. Absolutely. Really, 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 really interesting stuff. So, thank you everybody that's joining us. Once again, my name's Will. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm here with my new friend, my good friend. We're best friends, almost. Melissa, who's joining me today to talk about what she does with her abilities, and it ranges from, well, NLP like me to tarot cards and crystals, and to connect with people on their higher level and their unconscious mind. So any questions, please type them in, because I really want you to test us. Anything you want us to talk about, we can, but if you've got any specific questions, please do put it in the chat box. This is your chance. I've not had a guest like Melissa before with her techniques and her abilities. So please do ask away if you've got anything. Monique says, I like her, she's cool. So there we go. So anybody that's got anything, please do put in the chat box. So we've connected through one of my classes. How are we going to collaborate in the future?
Oh, I like that. Assumptive selling. Well, that's awesome. You know what? I think that we could really develop something with like manifestation, because this is where I am. So when we were speaking earlier and we started to talk about manifestation, and I think when we connected in that class, you started talking about The Secret.
Yeah.
I think there's something that we can do together using your skills with your NLP and with your coaching to help make manifesting more empowering. Because this is where I'm going with this. When I read The Secret, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God, my thoughts create my things, right? But actually, honestly, I found the whole thing quite disempowering, because I was like, oh, okay, does that mean if I have a bad thought that I'm going to have bad experiences come in? Or does that mean that I have to have a goal and I have to be super clear about what I want that to look like and do my vision board with the house and the car and the husband and the whatever? And I started like that. And I kid you not, I have manifested Disney tickets, I have manifested like weather, I've manifested parking spaces, all that stuff, right?
Parking spaces, yeah.
So you asked me one thing people can do: manifest a parking space. Put it out there and just say, I know that I can park quickly, easily, and close to where I'm going to be. And you put that out there and you believe it, and tell me it doesn't.
Do you know what? I believe for my life that I have so much success in my life. Everything goes right. When stuff goes wrong, I just deal with it. But I am surrounded with positivity and good luck, if you like, and
Yeah.
success. Why? Because I totally believe and send out to the universe, I am successful. And what do I get back? Success. I send out positive energy and say, I am good, feel positive, I feel great. What do I get back? Positivity. Last week, I was feeling tired and I started to send out negative shit. I was like, I feel run down, I feel fed up, all of that. So the day before I moved here, I got this really painful mouth ulcer. And for a whole week, I was run down, I couldn't eat. I was sleeping about 15 hours a day. I lost loads of weight. And until we moved, and then so we moved last Thursday, and then it wasn't until this Wednesday, yesterday and Tuesday, that I started to feel better. And because I turned my thoughts around. Okay, did it make me better? I don't know. But it was, coincidence? Maybe not. So I know that I have always been successful in whatever I do because I have an unwavering belief in my own ability. So for me, I believe my life, my success has been manifested.
Yeah. Because our energy creates our reality. So if anyone's thinking here, like, well, hold on a minute, how do my thoughts create things? Like, that's not possible. Like, literally everything was a thought. Like, so these cards, once upon a time, lived in somebody's mind as an idea, as a concept. And they took action. You've got to take action. You can't just go on and like hope it appears. You have to take inspired action. It's one of the laws that kind of we don't, like, all these laws work together, right? But we took inspired action, and then these cards are now here physically in reality, right? This conversation between us was in our minds. It was in our awareness sometime. And actually, I think I said to you when you connected, I was like, well, this is weird because I just put out that I want to be on like 3 other people's shows this month. And then you were like, oh, do you want to come on my thing? I was like, well, that was a quick manifestation.
You said to me as well about you put some energy about meeting people as well. Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Connected,
Connecting with the right people.
Yeah.
And then I saw your thing on energy fitness and I was like, oh, I'll go to that. Nothing else on that day. And I was like, and that was it. And now we're here doing this. And maybe through this, somebody on here, either from your page will connect with me or from my page will connect with you. But it started as an idea, and you take action. If I wouldn't have gone on that thing, I'm just going to sit here and flick on my phone, then this wouldn't have happened. So you've got to take that inspired action to come in. So thoughts become things.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing. It is about that belief, isn't it? Around you can choose whether thoughts. I often say thoughts aren't facts in themselves, and that's what you're saying. If you've got to do something with it. So feeling sorry for yourself, feeling down, and thinking about all the negative things in your life, that's a choice. And I'll often say to my clients when they say, I feel down all the time, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I'm pretty tough love with my clients. And I'm like, you are 100% in control of your feelings because it's your thoughts. And so when you say, I can't help it, or he makes me feel that way, or she makes me feel that way, what you're really saying is based on what they've done, I made myself feel this way. And so I'm like, just stand up, get up, do what you want to do, make it happen. And then that's when we get it back. Monique said, what would you suggest to people who feel like they've done so amazing and well, but now feel like something's missing as they want to do more good things? So Monique is a client of mine who's had a huge transformation, done a complete 180 on her life, and doing so well. And I'm sure we'll cover this in a session, but you might as well answer for me.
Okay, for me, this is leveling up. For me, this is taking that inspired action. That's going, I was here and now I am here and I have got to this point. Now, you might think that, oh, I'm in a good space, so now I'm just going to level off. But that's not really quite how it works, right? So this is about, up leveling. This is about going, okay, so what's the next thing? So I'm not saying go chasing goals, because that can be, it's not about the end result necessarily. It's a bit, this is a cheesy, but it's about the process that's going through that. So you've done something amazing. You want to stick with that energy. You want to harness that energy. I've done something amazing. Look what amazing things I've done. What's next? What's the next thing that I'm being called to do, that I'm fulfilled? So that comes into, how do I want my day to look? Who do I want to connect with? How can I bring this feeling of amazingness and make it bigger?
Yeah.
Or make it more.
Yeah.
So for me, this is leveling up. So it's about harnessing that energy and understanding where you want that to kind of disperse or spread in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you used a great analogy earlier around what you're going to do this year, around kind of carving out that river, if you like, in whichever direction you want to go in. And with Monique, she's turned, I mean, her profile now is called it Turning Therapy into Art. She started doing artwork now to help her through a therapy with me, and now she's selling it. And so it's about being in that moment for me as well, about appreciating what you do have and the impact on others, as well as what you just said of, well, actually, let's just take a moment here and think about, what do I want to do? What do I feel is going to help me fulfill me next? And then go off and make it happen. Absolutely. Yeah. And she said, how do you know the difference between your gut feeling or anxiety? What I will say is the feelings of anxiety and excitement are exactly the same. The only things that are different are your thoughts. Yeah. So it could be excitement. But what would you say around that, your gut feeling? I think what she means by gut feeling is your intuition.
Yeah.
And then your anxiety.
Okay, I ran a whole workshop on this, so I'm going to try and keep it succinct. Yeah. Okay. Gut feeling is that physical bodily response that tells you that something is good or something that is not. Yes, you have that. And it's physical. You feel it in your stomach, like generally your gut, right? Yeah. Now your intuition, for me, your intuition is slightly different. It can use your gut, but it's more of that that whisper, that guide, that thing that's pulling you along. So for me, your intuition might be more like, oh, try this, or why don't you do this, rather than that kind of physical feeling. Now, I absolutely agree with what you said, that excitement and anxiety are the same. It is the same feeling. It is just how you are responding to it. But there's a difference here, that with the gut, so I started talking about past lives, which I appreciate might be a step too far for some people, but bear with me. We can keep this relevant to our current life, perhaps as well. But our gut, so our body holds a memory, right? So our body literally keeps score of everything that's happened. Now, if you have had something occur to you, happen to you, a trauma or an experience, or, a shaming, or even at school, what it's like with the crowds, and then they, and you get that feeling in your stomach that says, well, don't do that. Last time you did that, you got pushed out the tribe, you got made fun of, you got hurled abuse at, or whatever. Then your gut is going to try and, your gut feeling will be, I'm not going to do that. So you might have your intuition say, go and sell your artwork, go and approach this gallery. And your gut goes, oh, no, because if I put myself out there, then they're all going to judge me. Yeah. Right? So for me, it's not necessarily about, I'm not one for bypassing, right? I'm not one for going, oh, just ignore that and charge on and do that. Sometimes it's about going in there. And this is where this past life stuff, or the Akashic stuff comes in, or the healing stuff comes in. It's about going into that and going, okay, how can I make you feel safe? How can I take the energy outside of that? We spoke about switching the energy around, which again is like an NLP technique as well. How can I change that so that I know that I can feel safe in that situation, so that next time it comes up, you might get those butterflies, but you'll be like, okay, no one's gonna hurl abuse at me this time. No one's gonna, stab me in the back for doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's kind of a few things at play there. The more you get used to listening to your intuition, which comes back to the meditation and having that quiet space, the more you will be able to differentiate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said trust, but I guess it is about trust as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You tell the difference between what is what, isn't it? Monique says, wow, just knew that I would get a great reply. Thanks for that answer. Yes, great answer. Honestly, I could sit here and listen to you all night. Kerry Stevenson, 1977, says, hey, Guru. I think she's one of yours, yeah?
Kerry and I sat in circle together.
Right, okay.
So Kerry's a practicing medium. And you know what? She is perfect example for somebody who is like, maybe, I hope you don't mind me saying, Kerry, but maybe held that wound, maybe from past lives of, if I step up and go out and start practicing mediumship, then people are going to judge me. And, working in circle with her, she was always awesome. Like, she always got loads of evidence and great things, which are, oh, I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. And this is where that, like, witch wound kind of comes up of, this imposter syndrome, this feeling of this. And, she's done some work around this, and she's found her bravery through there, and now she is practicing medium. So we can all do it.
Good for you, Kerry. Good for you. Amazing. Monique says, I think I'm just learning to see things a lot more clearly, especially with people. So just getting weird feeling about a person or two and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's about, do you know what? If you get a weird feeling or a negative feeling when you're around people, you've got three options. And I would say this about if you've got something in your life that isn't making you happy, you've got three options. You can either try and change it so that it becomes positive. You can accept it as it is, or you can remove it from your life. And that's the same with people as well for me. If you try and change them, or you try and change your perception of them and it doesn't work, you only got two other options, right? You can either put up with it or you can get them out of your life. So it's surrounding yourself with the right people and the right energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that does all come up from how well you know yourself and who you want to be with. I do have to say though, sometimes when we meet people who trigger us, most of the time when we meet people who trigger us, there's something in us that's unhealed.
Yeah.
We won't go into that today, but yeah.
No, absolutely. To be fair, I mean, it is, why do we respond the way we respond? We could talk all night about that. Kerry says, I came on late. Not late, Kerry, because we're still here. Is this a question and answer session? Yes, it is. Now you can test us both to see what we come up with.
Definitely,
Melissa, though. Definitely difficult questions for Melissa. Thank you, Wayne. Good advice. Thank you, Amen. Jonathan, thank you so much. What's my best advice of what we've been talking about? Just take your time, relax, and make the right decisions for you, and go with your gut, because if you learn to trust it, it can give you wonderful things. Yeah. But if we always get too scared, and as you said, Melissa, we get too scared and we're just like, oh no, I can't. You could be missing out on some amazing things,
Yeah. It's worth trying it, right? Just try it out and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen?
I'm waiting for a question. Anybody else got any questions for myself or Melissa? Anybody that's just joined, my name's Will, I'm a hypnotherapist, and this is my wonderful, amazing guest, Melissa, who's here. I couldn't possibly tell you every string to her bow because I've been here all night. But we are talking about the influence on the higher self and the unconscious mind, crystals, cards, spirituality, etc. So if you've got anything you want us to talk about, we've got about 9 minutes left because this has gone so quick. And if you've got any questions, what I will say is I'm sure we will definitely be doing another one because We've barely touched the surface, I'm sure. Monique says, what would you both tell your younger selves? I've answered this lots of times. I would say it's about don't take to heart or don't take too seriously the opinions of people in your life that don't show you the same respect as you show them. And I spent too long in my life worrying about the opinions of other people and how they were feeling and neglecting my own thoughts and feelings. And that's why I would advise, do what's right for you, and those people that care about you will benefit from that anyway. Always put yourself first, unless, different circumstances, but put yourself first, others will benefit from it. Melissa?
So true. I remember somebody said to me once, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
You know what it's like as a teenager. You spend your whole time thinking that you're getting judged and that, you've got to fit in here, you've got to fit in there. Actually, fitting in isn't you think about the people you admire, they're not the people who fit in, they're the people who break the mold, right?
Yeah.
So for me, my advice to me would be just be yourself and be that truly.
Yeah, love it. Wayne says, I've started a journey to change a lot of behaviours that I've had that have dominated my life negatively. How do I rid myself of the guilt feelings of focusing on myself? I mean, I don't know if we've got enough time to answer that. This is, for me, it would be about what are you gaining from feeling guilty? Because you are gaining something, otherwise you wouldn't do it. You're definitely gaining, and most people go, I'm not gaining anything. You are, because otherwise you wouldn't bother doing it. I would change your behaviour to the way you want it to be and do it over and over and over and prove to yourself this is a better way to be. Guilty feelings, what are guilty feelings? They come from thoughts. If your thoughts are creating guilt, which in my opinion is the most wasted emotion ever, guilt. If you are making yourself feel guilty through your thoughts, change your thoughts. Tell yourself that you are doing this for your own good, and those around you will benefit, or whatever it is for you. I'm not going to let you answer that, Melissa, because we've got 6 minutes left. And Kerry says, is setting the intention as easy as just a thought? Is setting the intention as easy as just a thought?
That's where it starts. If you want to set an intention, there's a few things going on there. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of different spiritual laws coming out, and things like The Secret focus just on the law of attraction. So yes, it starts with that. It starts with that thought. And I believe that spirit, the universe, source, or whatever can hear your thoughts. I think the thought is powerful. I think if you say it out loud, then you're bringing your breath into it, which is, it's your sacred breath, right? This is what connects my inner world to the outer world and vice versa. But then you have to take inspired action. You can't just go, I'm going to win £1 million. I'm going to win the lottery, or even be that specific. I'm going to win £1 million and then sit on your bum and just do nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. You've
got to take the action. So it starts with a thought, and then you'll start to get those whispers. Go to the ice cream shop and and you're like, why am I going to the ice cream shop? And maybe you go to the ice cream shop, but then your next boss is there also going to get ice cream, right? You've got to take that action, and it comes back to your meditation practice, to your silent time or your connection time.
Yeah, absolutely. When social distancing finishes and you can get out and about more safely, what I would suggest is do some meditation and go for a walk and follow what your gut tells you. Your gut, your intuition. Just go where it tells you. With just a few minutes left, everything that we talked about today reminds me of something that I learned a while ago about intention and magic and spells, when we cast a spell. And spells are just words or a poem, but mainly words with intention. And that's where the word spelling comes from, because we cast spells and they are words with intention. If you want to cast a spell, if you want to make stuff happen, believe it and then get off your ass and make it happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely make it happen. And if you need guidance on it and you're not sure how to do it, here's the lady to show you how to do it.
Yeah.
So follow, DM, send her a message, look at her posts. We are more in control of our reality than we realise. We absolutely control our reality 100%. How we perceive things, what the things we want, what we bring into our life, who we bring into our lives, and who we keep there. So believe it. I always say believe, and you will receive, and you can achieve. But it's usually believe and you will receive. I think I bought The Secret about 12 times. Got me about 12 times. And I've given it away. And every time I write in the front, believe and you will receive.
Yeah.
Because that's what I believe. If you believe it and you put intention in it and you get off your ass and do it, it will happen. If you're stuck in a rut, if you don't know how to get out of what you're doing, what you first need to do is recognize you are 100% in control of the situation you're in. Nobody else is in control of it. It's just you. And therefore, all you got to do to get out of it is change your intention, change your energy, change your focus, change your direction. If you need some guidance, we're both here. If not, just get off your ass and do it, right?
Yeah. You know, they say if you can hold it in your mind, then it's achievable. If it's like I said with these cards, these were in somebody's mind once before. Yeah. So if you can hold it in your mind, it's there and it's available to you. You've just got to go and bring it to you, and you meet it halfway. It's a co-creation.
Absolutely. We've got 2 minutes left. Anybody that's watching, how do they get hold of you?
I work mainly through my Facebook page, which is Melissa Amos Intuitive Guidance. My website should be launched next week, which is Melissa, 2 S's, -amos.com. Or DM me via here if that's easier for you, and I can always send you all the links. I run workshops pretty much every week on a whole variety of stuff. And starting next Monday, I'm starting a live radio show, I don't know, Facebook show via my Facebook page. So if you find me on there Mondays, 7 o'clock, and Will, this is your official invite, and one of the you can come on.
Monday, yeah. I'm there.
Awesome. We have a chat.
We will talk. Everybody for thanks for joining. Thank you for the questions. Melissa, amazing. Thank you so much, babe. It's been awesome, and we'll catch up. I'm just going to send you a message now. So thank you, everybody, very much for joining us, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.